And so here I was, a young filmmaker, under the tutelage of the top director in Hollywood at that time, who was just finishing Breakfast at Tiffany's. And it became a great joy, and then I was around when Blake met Julie for the first time.
And your dad,
yes, they
a minister of how many years?
53 years. Dad was a pastor, and sure enough, 2 years after Blake met Julie and had a wonderful romance, he married them, and they've been married now for 39 years.
That's wonderful. And you produced movies that Julie Andrews has starred in, Darling Lily.
I was involved in Darling Lily, and then, of course, The Tamarind Seed, with Julie Andrews and Omar Sharif.
Oh, here's Tamara.
Great thriller. Music by John Barry, one that you want to be sure and see.
I want to mention also The Wild Rovers, where we see you credited with Blake Edwards on that one.
William Holden, Ryan O'Neal. William Holden plays the older cowboy, teaching Ryan O'Neal, the younger cowboy, the ropes. And a very authentic Western, in kind of the vein of The Wild Bunch, a rough one, but very authentic.
Your mom taught Shakespeare?
She did.
And
Shakespeare,
creative writing?
Creative writing to kids in the 9th grade. And I think that's where a lot of the storytelling came from. But Dad was a fine pastor, and I was so honored to have that incredible family who loved learning, loved entertainment, loved good stories, but most of all, they both loved God, and that was the center of our home.
Ken, you've spent your whole life in what some have called Babylon.
Yes.
For a follower of Jesus, how has this been? You're a gentleman. I love every minute we spend together.
We have a good time.
But you've been right in the heart of it.
Well, it is a battle, and it is a battle for the heart and soul and minds of people, young people especially. And I'm very concerned about that. And I think that if we need to be able to tell stories that are honest, but it's about the right choice of the story to tell in the first place. I teach at USC, my alma mater, and we'll talk a bit about that in a moment, how in the world I got to USC. But indeed, my whole purpose of doing that is learning to tell, teaching those kids, helping them to know how to tell or how to make the right choice of the story in the first place. That's where it goes haywire.
Just the power of influence of motion pictures. I mean, one of my pet peeves, 2 movies, Clueless and Valley Girls, are responsible, almost single-handedly, together, for ruining our young people's verbiage, the word like, peppered through every sentence. You know what I do with my daughter and her friends?
Tell me.
I start to put up a finger. Every time they say like in commenting on anything, and then I'll tell them, do you know how many times you said like inappropriately? And that is the result of 2 movies. It's changed the way they talk.
See? And if it's only a simple thing like that, think about how the deeper topics are so exemplified and reflected.
Worldview.
Critical, very critical. So when we see certain films, even like Juno, which is out now, we have to stop and think, there's some good there even in the breeziness of it. And I'm not sure I like all of that. But I do appreciate the fact that indeed it's about saving the life of a child.
4
and
Oscars
that part's good.
For that movie,
Yes.
and we have some other Canadian opportunities on Sunday night. What you don't have to tell me how you voted. You have voted.
We can't tell. We're admonished to be very private about that.
Did we show your card credibility this program?
Well, we
I
can
don't
show
think
that.
so.
This is my card,
Whoa.
which is from the Motion Picture Academy, and I was honored, as I said, when Glenn Ford and Ernest Borgnine nominated me to become a member at that time. And you know something? I played opposite Jane Fonda in the very first scene she ever did.
I got to go back and watch all these movies and find you over the years. You know, I saw Tom Hanks being asked, you know, what is it about cinema? Why do we worship acting? And he said without a beat, he said, we all want to be part of something bigger than we are.
I think that's true. But you know, a better choice for that is be something bigger. Put God and Christ in your life and watch the good things that happen.
I want people to know the story of what was the bestseller.
Indeed.
Christy,
this was probably right there at the top highlight in my life. I worked 19 years to get the rights from MGM, who was going to do it as a feature, and finally to get the rights, and then to be disappointed when they ripped it off and made Dr. Quinn. They copied Christie. And I was so sad, but I had said no, I didn't want it to be on television. And then when they came back the second time, and the president of CBS, Jeff Sagansky, said, Ken, wake up. I prayed about it. And it was praying Catherine Marshall's prayer of relinquishment, about giving up our way of doing something. Don't give up the idea.
Hold on to the vision.
Hold on to the vision and the project, but just change the way of doing it. And I thought, of course, in one night, many more people will see it with their families gathered around the television set together than would ever see it in the life of a feature film. And that's how Christie began. And you know something, Mara, when it came on the air, 42 million people on Easter Sunday night in 1994 saw Christie, and it broke records.
We're going to just have maybe 2 clips if we have time, but for those who missed it, we'll tell you more of the inside story. Let's go to that clip right now.